Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining in. Welcome to session 3 of your AWS certification. Now, in the last two sessions of our learning journey, you have learned some of the core concepts related to the AWS DevOps certification course. Now, as we proceed, we are going to look into this some more hands-on activity which will help you to build the foundation and ensure that you are certification ready for AWS DevOps certification course. The reason that we are taking this approach, as I mentioned already, this is a certification which is not so easy a one, and it's a professional level certificate. And we want you to become best through this certification, especially through this course. Hence, in order to help you grow in this learning journey, so we are ensuring that everything that you are learning, you're going to learn through the hands-on session. So let's get started and let's see what we have for today's session. Now, as part of our learning journey, if I talk about the whatever the things that we have done till now, so here till now we have implemented the SDLC, and in the last session we have seen some of the best parts or best features of AWS, that is deploying the infrastructure as a code. And in the last session, what we did was we also did a hands-on session where I've shown you an example as how I can have a template which is in JSON format, and how we can also have a template which is in YAML format. So we have we have seen both the scenarios, and at the end we have seen how we can provision the EC2 instance using my cloud formation, which is an automated way of deploying the applications. And along with that, we have also seen the scenario of cloud formation nested stacks. And you have also seen how you can perform the change set using the cloud formation. So once a cloud formation instance, like cloud formation stack has been created, how we can edit it. Now, while doing that editing, we have ensured that we are making use of the change set, and first we execute the change set. And after that, so first we create it. Once the change set is created, we are going to execute the change set to update the resources. So that is going to terminate my EC2 instances, and it has released a new instance, that is my T2.medium from T2.micro. So this was the learning that we had. Now, as we progress in today's session, we are going to look into the concepts which are related to the monitoring and logging. So monitoring and logging are some of the important topics. The reason because no matter what you do in AWS, you need to have a log. Now, having the log is for two things. One, it could be for the internal developer analysis, and two, it could be for the compliance requirement as well. Think about this. Let's say you're working on a bank project, and if you're working on a bank project, and if a customer has transacted a money, let's say a customer has transacted the money and he has withdrawn 100 rupees. Now, if that bank is using AWS and if it is getting updated in a database, not only you have to update or deduct 1000 rupees from the customer's request, along with that, what you have to do is you have to keep a log, and this log will act as a proof that this is a request which has been raised by the user and you did not go ahead and do this. So hence, it's very important that we monitor and we log each and every activity that we perform in AWS. Now, as part of our learning journey, we are going to see how we can monitor and logging, and some of the important hands-on activities that I'll be doing here is we'll see how we can control the alerts, that is AWS access control alerts with CloudWatch and CloudTrail. And we'll also see how we can automate the EBS snapshot creation using CloudWatch and SNS. And we'll also understand how we can configure a CloudWatch alarm for Lambda invocation errors with SNS notification. So these are the hands-on topics that we have under the logging. Okay, so let's go ahead and proceed with the implementation of this hands-on session. So the first hands-on activity, it's about AWS access control. So I'm going to log into my AWS account. In order to do this activity, we'll make use of CloudWatch and CloudTrail. Now here, when I talk about this CloudWatch, okay, so let's go to the AWS CloudWatch official documentation page. So AWS CloudWatch. Now, when I talk about this CloudWatch, so this CloudWatch is a service which we use it to monitor and collect the metrics from the services in a periodic way. Now, this actually helps us in providing the clear picture for the users to understand how a certain resource is performing. Now, we clearly say observability for AWS resources and the application on AWS and on-premise. So it helps us to understand how my resources are actually performing, whether it is overworking, whether it is underworking. So I can get each and every information through this AWS CloudWatch. Now here, this AWS CloudWatch, it collects the data in the format of logs, events, and even it also collects the metric and provide us with an information for everything that I would need in an organized way of my organized of all of my AWS resources. And we can use this CloudWatch to detect anonymous behavior in the environment. I can also set the alarm. I'll show you at a high level as how we can do the same. And we can visualize the data from the logs and take action and troubleshoot the issue. Just to give you an example, in the last session, we have initialized our EC2 instance, right? So let's say my EC2 is working erratically. I mean, it's not working as per the expectation. In such scenarios, we'll just go ahead and set a threshold value or set an alarm. So if the system performance crosses more than 80% for 2 minutes straight, then we'll have to restart the EC2 instance. So those kind of automation we can perform with the help of the CloudWatch. And we can monitor AWS resources such as RDS, DynamoDB tables, and many others using this CloudWatch, guys. And here, this CloudWatch, it can monitor the resource utilization. And and the best part over here, let's see. So we'll get the unified view of operational health and gain the capability or gain the complete visibility of resources, applications, and services which are running on AWS and on-premise. And here, in case of CloudWatch, in the auto scaling, the servers are stopped or launched on the basis of the events that we can create in CloudWatch. So this means the CloudWatch has the integration with auto scaling, and this CloudWatch also offers some of the features for the services running in the account. For example, like I can have the logs for the Lambda functions, and it will be stored within the log groups in CloudWatch, which we can use it to get the detailed log for any specific function. And another thing that we'll be using right now here is AWS CloudTrail. Okay, AWS CloudTrail. Now, if I talk about this AWS CloudTrail, so this is present in order to help us in enabling the governance, compliance, and operational and risk auditing for the AWS account. So it's the same example. Let's say if you're working as a bank, it's very important that you log each and everything, what is happening in that scenario. Let's say if you're doing a transaction, you'll have to understand who is that merchant, who is that customer who is making the payment to, and what is the category of the merchant, what is the card type, each and everything has to be logged. Now, this AWS CloudTrail service, which helps us to monitor, survey, and audit the AWS account. Here, with this CloudTrail, the user will be able to log, monitor, and retain the account activity associated with actions across my AWS infrastructure. So this CloudTrail, so it actually gives us the overall activity of my AWS services. It manages the functions performed with the help of my AWS management console, like program line tools, AWS SDKs, and various other services. Just to help you understand, this captures the history. Okay, it captures the history for security analysis, resource amendment, and even it will also help us in performing the troubleshooting. Okay, so this is the overall idea behind this AWS CloudTrail. Let's say, okay, let's do one thing. Let's go ahead and perform this in a hands-on manner. I think you'll get the better idea. So first we'll create a CloudTrail and then we'll create some metrics. We'll create an alarm, then we'll create an EC2 instance to trigger our alarm, and that will complete our hands-on activity. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to launch my AWS account right now. Okay, I'm now logging to my AWS account. So I'll start by creating a CloudTrail. Now, in order to create a CloudTrail, so I will go to the CloudTrail. So CloudTrail is what we use it to track user activity and the API usages. It says it helps to meet our governance, compliance, and auditing needs of the AWS account. Now I'll start by creating a trial. Now here I'm going to mention the details. So here by default, the name is coming as management events. I'll just change it to my name. I'm going to say my cloud trial. Okay. Now here it says a trial log bucket and folder. So logs will be stored in AWS CloudTrail logs, and it is mentioning this is where it will be it will be saved. And it also mentions that there's no cost to log these events. We are going to incur the charges for the S3 bucket that will be created for us to store the logs. So this CloudTrail is free then, isn't it? I'll leave it as it is, and I'm going to say create trial, guys. I'm going to say create trial. So currently it's in quick trial create. I'll do one thing. Let's see if we can get it in a different way. I'll click on dashboard and I'll say create trial. Yeah, now this will be a best way instead of taking the quick approach. So here for my trial name, I'm going to say my cloud trial. Okay, my cloud trail. So I'll create a new S3 bucket. Now here, so I'll just leave the trial log bucket and folder. I'll just leave it default, whatever it is present over here. Now for the SSE KMS encryption, I'm going to uncheck this. So this SSE KMS encryption is just to whether I want to encrypt the logs which I'll be performing. So this is going to encrypt my CloudTrail log files by using my AWS key management service. So I don't want to do that for now. Hence I have disabled it. Next, under the additional settings, so I'm going to disable this log file validation. Okay, now for SNS notification delivery. So this SNS notification delivery is nothing but for SNS for every log file delivery. If I choose enabled, if I want to get notified that log has been delivered to the bucket. So I don't want to do that, hence I'm disabling it. If you want, you can enable it. It is going to add further logs as well. I don't want to receive the notification. So hence I'm mentioning in this way. Okay, and then we've got the CloudTrail logs over here. So I'm going to check enabled. Okay, now for the log group, I'll create a new default log group over here. Okay, so and for the IAM role, okay, for this IAM role, I'll mention it something like this. I'll say CloudTrail. Okay, I'll just mention an IAM role. IAM. Okay, this is the one that I'm going to specify my role name right now. And along with that, if I come down, we can also set the tag. Now here for the tag, I'll set my name as name and the value as my underscore logs. And once this is done, I'm going to click on the next button. Now here we have the option to choose the log events. Now I'm going to keep the default, which says as management events. I'm not going to select my data events and the insights events. So management event is nothing but it's going to capture the management operations performed on the AWS resources. And data events, it actually going to log the resource operations performed on within a resource. And insight events, it identifies the usual activity. So for now, we'll only be restricted to capturing the logs to the management operations performed on the AWS resources. Okay, so I'll choose it as it is, and API activity, I'll keep the default value as it is. Okay, so I'll just use the default value and I'll click on the next button. Now, this will help me to review the choices that we have made. So you can review, it's the same what we have configured. I'll just click on CloudTrail, create a trail. Now, once this is done, so a CloudTrail instance which delivers the logs to an S3 bucket will get created. So currently we have created a new CloudTrail, and this CloudTrail, it says CloudWatch logs log group. This is where it will be logged, and this is my S3 bucket where the logs will be captured.